Caring Review, print speaking to the blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast, recorded at the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QandReview. That is @ CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QandReview.com. That is INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 5th of June 2025, from the news section. £25,000 raised to bring Greg Monks home from Portugal. Article written by Amy Miles. More than £25,000 has been raised to help repatriate the body of Greg Monks after his tragic death in Portugal was confirmed. The 38-year-old from Cambuslang, near Glasgow, went missing just hours after arriving in Albufeira on Tuesday, May 27th for a stag party. He was last seen on the main strip in the popular Algarve resort during a night out between May 27th and the early hours of May 28th. The last official sighting of Greg was recorded at around 3:27am on May 28th when CCTV captured him walking past a property in the Cerro de Aguia area. The Glasgow Times reported that on Tuesday, June the 4th, Portuguese police confirmed that a man's body had been discovered in that same area. Authorities stated the man, a 38-year-old British citizen, had been missing since May 28 and his disappearance was reported to the Guardia Nacional Republicana, GNR, that evening at around 8pm by a friend who was travelling with him. Following an investigation that tracked the presumed route Greg had taken since his last known sighting, police located the body on rough, vacant land in the Cerro de Aguia area. The judicial police confirmed that a judicial inspection will be conducted before the body is removed for autopsy. A statement from the Polícia Judiciária read, "The judicial police, through the Southern Directorate, with the collaboration of the GNR of Albufeira, located today in the Cerro de Agua area in Albufeira the body of a man who had been missing since May 28. The disappearance of the 38-year-old British citizen was reported to the GNR in Albufeira on May 28 at 8pm by another man who was accompanying him on a holiday in that location. After several investigations and investigation of the presumed route taken into the early hours of the morning of the aforementioned day since the last sighting, the body was located on a vacant and very uneven terrain. After the competent judicial inspection has been carried out, the body will be removed to the area's legal medicine office for an autopsy to be performed. Greg's devastated loved ones, including his mother, father and girlfriend, have phoned to Portugal to help with the search efforts. The Glasgow Times previously reported that a GoFundMe page, initially launched to support the search, has since been updated to help the family bring Greg home. The fundraiser has raised £25,800 so far. An update to the page reads, "After the devastating news today that Greg's body had been found, his family have asked to update the GoFundMe now to help bring Greg home. The GoFundMe can be found at www.gofundme.com/f/search-to-find-Greg-Monks. We reported yesterday that tributes are poured in for Greg, describing those who knew him as a kind and much-loved man. His sister, Gillian Monks, shared a heartbreaking message on social media. Didn't think it would end like this. We are absolutely devastated. Greg was an amazing boy whom everyone thought so highly of. He was friends with everyone and always made us laugh. We will miss him every day. I just want to thank absolutely everyone for everything they did, from sharing the post to going out looking and phoning everywhere to get CCTV. If love could have saved you, you would have lived forever. Miss you forever, brother. Tributes have flooded social media following the heartbreaking news of Greg Monk's death. One person wrote, "Heartbreaking news. Rest in peace, Greg Monks. My thoughts are with Gillian and the rest of your family. You're one of the good guys in life. God bless you, mate." Another added, "Thinking of you and the family. You have all done him immensely proud. You're all in my thoughts, sending you lots of love." A third shared, "So sorry for your loss. A devastating outcome for you all and for all his friends too." And a fourth wrote, "Absolutely devastated for you and your family, sending you all my love and strength." That article was written by Amy Miles.
Evening Times, June 12. Opinion. Councillor Rashid Hussain says, "We strengthen Glasgow every time we invest in our communities." When I first heard that the SNP-led city administration planned to close Ruckhill Community Centre, I knew Glasgow Labour had to act. This centre has been at the heart of the Ruckhill community for years. It has hosted youth clubs, parent and toddler sessions, and much more. It was not just a building. It was a space where neighbours came together, isolation was tackled, and opportunities were created. Local people were led to believe the centre had a future. In May, the SNP city administration proposed closing the centre permanently, despite those earlier commitments. The building has been closed since 2020. Local campaigners, including Ruckhill Community Council, worked tirelessly to make their voices heard. Backed by Glasgow Labour councillors, their efforts forced the administration to delay their closure plans. But this should not have happened in the first place. Ruckhill is not alone. Across Glasgow, vital community facilities are being lost or left to deteriorate. From Possil to Pollock, facilities that once served communities are being shuttered, mothballed, or handed over without proper support. These are not just administrative decisions, they are political choices, the costs of which are borne by people who rely on these spaces for connection, support and resilience. When community centres close, we lose more than just bricks and mortar. We lose the after-school clubs keeping children safe, mental health support groups, and clubs combating loneliness. These centres are a lifeline, and it is shameful that they are being treated as expendable. Glasgow Labour will continue to stand alongside communities like Ruckhill and call for both more funding from the SNP Scottish Government and political will and creative solutions from the Council. In conjunction with the local community, Glasgow Labour successfully forced the SNP-led administration to defer the closure decision, but our work is not done. We are calling for a clear, despite promises, and also upon the Scottish Government to allocate what Glasgow needs to ensure we maintain our community infrastructure. The people of Ruckhill deserve better. Glasgow's communities deserve better. It's time that we value communities, because when we invest in communities, we don't just save buildings, we strengthen the very fabric of our city, says Councillor Rashid Hussain. Evening Times, June 12. Lifestyle. Historic Glasgow pub named one of the best UK venues. Report by Ben Waddell. An historic Glasgow pub has been named one of the best live music venues in the UK. The Curler's Rest on Byres Road, known for its live jazz music on Wednesdays, was named as one of the top 10 venues in the country by Eat, Drink, Meet, a website and app that simplifies the search for nearby pubs, bars and restaurants. A spokesperson for Eat, Drink, Meet said, "The Colours Rest is where Glasgow's West End comes to life through music. From 8 p.m. each night, this laid-back yet lively pub sets the perfect tone for an evening of great tunes, hearty food and a proper pint. With its quirky atmosphere and characterful interiors, the Colours Rest caters to every occasion, from leisurely lunches and family dinners to late-night catch-ups with friends. Add an extensive drinks list and a warm Glaswegian welcome, and you have got a pub that truly feels like home." Other boozers among the top 10 in the UK include Deacon Brodie's Tavern in Edinburgh, the Flyer in Bristol, Oakford's Social Club in Reading, the Fourth Hotel in Newcastle upon Tyne, and Brown's Cardiff in Wales. Report by Ben Waddle.
From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 13th of June 2025, from the lifestyle section. Connolly's new art collection inspired by Teddy Boys. Report by Santaya Suresh. Billy Connolly has launched a new limited edition art collection inspired by his youth. Titled Windswept and Interesting, the pieces include a stainless steel sculpture of a dancing Teddy Boy figure and two hand signs Giclée artworks. The collection is available from Friday, June the 13th at castlefineart.com and across their UK galleries. The comedian said, "These artworks are my youth as I'd like it to have been, but it wasn't. I would have loved to have been a Teddy Boy, but I was too young and my parents wouldn't let me do it. It's the worst reason not to be a Teddy Boy, because your parents won't let you." The collection's title is borrowed from Connolly's 2021 memoir, which references a description given to him by Scottish folk singer Archie Fisher. Performing at Methil Steelworks Club in Fife many years ago, Fisher told Connolly, "You're looking windswept and interesting." Connolly said, "I thought, yes, that will do me, and that's been me ever since." Now aged 82, Connolly has vowed to uphold this persona throughout his career, influencing his attitude, outlook and notably, his fashion sense. Over the past 6 decades, Connolly's style has played a major part in his onstage presence, from black leotards and banana boots to boldly patterned shirts and suits. His new artwork collection delves into these early style influences. The character's suit in the artwork is adorned with Connolly's distinctive line work, symbolising his defiance of conventionality and his love for colour and clashing socks. This detailing is incorporated into stainless steel sculpture, giving the character a lively presence. The comedian said, "This is me as I see myself, and I am so proud of him." That article was written by Santaya Suresh and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 13th of June 2025. From the lifestyle section, exclusive. Glasgow Group's 60-year fight to tackle drink and drugs crisis. This article is an exclusive by Anne Fotheringham. Before she joined Glasgow Council on Alcohol, Anne McLean worked in her local pub. "I used to feel sorry for the men still sitting there at the end of the night, drinking," she recalls. They'd finish work at Babcock's in Renfrew on a Friday, pick up their paycheck, and come straight to the pub to spend it all. Anne, who's a senior counsellor with the charity, adds, "I didn't know what the word empathy meant back then, but I knew I felt something for those people. I wanted to help. I saw an ad in the newspaper for GCA and applied, and I have been here ever since." Glasgow Council on Alcohol is marking its 60th anniversary of helping people affected by alcohol and drug-related harms with Memory Box, a lovely new initiative for clients, staff, families, funders and friends. Since 1965, GCA has supported around 200,000 people, and the charity is inviting anyone touched by its work to share their stories in celebration of the significant impact the charity has had. It is a huge challenge, acknowledges Chief Executive Leslie Ross. We are in an alcohol emergency, she says simply. Last year's figures for alcohol deaths in Scotland were the highest they have been for 15 years, and we expect this year's to be even higher. Each is a life cut tragically short, leaving behind family members and friends suffering their loss, and the impact on society is much wider. GCA was set up by Sir Alistair Murray, a successful businessman and financier, in 1965, when he announced in a radio interview that he was an alcoholic. He sought help in London and returned with the idea to set up an organisation like the Council on Alcoholism, founded by Marty Mann in New York, a breakaway group from the Alcoholics Anonymous. With a group of legal and medical professionals, he established the Glasgow Council on Alcoholism, based in his Gordon Street flats near Central Station. Early efforts focused on the industrial programme, addressing alcoholism's impact on industry. Senior Director John Gray led this, offering rehabilitation to employees whose work suffered due to drinking, an approach ahead of its time in the UK. The charity now has 55 paid staff and 55 volunteers. Last year, it supported more than 12,400 people through a range of services, including counselling, employability programmes, wellbeing support and specialised help. Over the last 15 to 20 years, we have taken a more holistic view, says Leslie, who joined GCA 8 years ago and became Chief Executive in 2023. When people come to us struggling with alcoholism, that's a symptom, not a cause. So, we look at the whole picture to try to get to the root cause and find the right support. For Senior Counsellor Anne, who now lives in the south side of the city, working for the charity is a privilege, she says. It can be hard at times. You hear a lot of stories from people in very difficult circumstances, she said, but it's a privilege to be able to help people. More than half the people who work and volunteer at GCA have lived experience of the impact of alcohol, says Leslie. What family in the west of Scotland doesn't know someone affected by it? She says. There is still a huge stigma around it, and still so much to do. The Memory Box project allows everyone with a connection to GCA to share their memories as the charity marks its milestone anniversary. Leslie adds, all memories matter, whether big or small. Those who wish to share stories of their involvement can do so, anonymously if desired, on our website. We are looking to collect as many stories as possible as we assess our legacy over the past 6 decades while planning for our future. Training manager Neil Macaulay, 70, who is now a qualified practice supervisor and psychotherapist, joined GCA as a volunteer almost 30 years ago. I was a teacher looking for a change of career, he explains. Like many families, some of my relatives and friends had been affected by alcohol problems. I love working here. Supporting people to change is a rewarding thing to do. He adds, to see people who are struggling then manage to make something of their lives, it's great to be a part of that. The charity will be showcasing the stories, which can be added via the GCA website at a special event in November at Glasgow City Chambers and on social media throughout the year. That article was an exclusive written by Anne Fotheringham. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 13th of June 2025. From the lifestyle section, Glasgow Library first in Scotland to achieve top honour. Article written by Anne Fotheringham. A city library has become the first in Scotland to receive a prestigious honour. Glasgow Women's Library in Bridgeton has been officially recognised as a Library of Sanctuary, one of only 30 in the UK. The announcement was made during Refugees Festival Scotland, which runs until June 22nd. The award recognises GWL's long-standing commitment to being a safe, inclusive and empowering space for women from all walks of life, especially those who have lived experience of seeking sanctuary. Sarah Adam, GWL volunteer, said, GWL helped me improve my English, make new friends and learn about other cultures. It is a safe and supportive space where I feel valued and able to grow. The library supports people through its literacy project, notably the Conversation Cafe, a welcoming, friendly and supportive group for women who are new to speaking English. It also hosts bilingual events such as Urdu poetry story cafes, and celebrates the contributions of migrant communities to Glasgow's history, culture and community life, for example through the She Settles in the Shields project. The title was awarded by City of Sanctuary UK, a nationally coordinated network of organisations and services, including councils, schools, theatres and universities that welcome and support refugees and people seeking asylum. Wendy Kirk, GWL librarian, said, "We are beyond thrilled to become part of the Library of Sanctuary network and the wider City of Sanctuary network, which is building a movement of welcome all across the UK. This is needed now more than ever. Libraries are much loved community anchors and are perfectly placed to be spaces of welcome, hope and connection for people who have been forcibly displaced." Adele Patrick, GWL co-director, said, "Gaining Library of Sanctuary status is an absolute honour for the team at Glasgow Women's Library. We know that libraries are amongst the special few places that people trust. At this time, when so many are experiencing the world as a threatening, hostile and violent, ensuring our libraries are indeed safe harbours is all the more crucial." Saima Ahmed, development worker at GWL, said, "Through our projects we continue to build bridges of understanding, celebrate diverse cultures, and ensure that every woman who walks through our doors feels a sense of belonging. Being designated a Library of Sanctuary affirms our role not just as a library, but as a sanctuary, supporting women in their pursuit of learning, connection and empowerment." That article was written by Anne Fotheringham and read by E. McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 13th of June 2025, from the Lifestyle section, How to Protect Your Home from Thunderstorms and Flood Damage. Article written by personal finance writer Jade Wright. 3 days of thunderstorms are set to hit the UK, with 2 inches of rain in a few hours and winds of up to 50 miles per hour over the next few days. Heavy downpours and thunderstorms are expected, the Met Office said, with storms bringing flooding, travel disruption, power cuts and damage from hail, lightning and gusty winds. Insurers are braced for a surge in costly claims for storm and flood damage, which can in turn put up homeowners' premiums. Dave Thompson, Claims Director at Tesco Insurance, says, "With the Met Office warning of upcoming thunder and lightning storms and potential for flash flooding, homeowners may worry about what is or isn't covered if they were to suffer a direct hit in the house or be impacted by floods. Predicting exactly when and where lightning will strike is impossible, but there are a few steps you could take that can help you reduce the risk of your property in the event of lightning hitting near or on your home. Prepare a flood emergency kit. Having an emergency stash of supplies could help you keep you and your family safe and warm should a flood occur. In your kit you may want to include the first aid equipment, bottled water, food, a torch in case you lose power, an emergency contact sheet, prescribed medication, blankets, clothing, insurance documents and money. If you have babies or elderly people in your household, you should also pack any special items that they may need. Check your home insurance. Dave says, "Hopefully you won't need to make a claim, but just in case you do, check your home insurance policy is up to date. If you are ever in doubt about how to look after your home during the winter months, particularly when it comes to such things as heating, be sure to contact a specialist." Start at the top. Dave says, have your roof inspected and any repair cracked, damaged or broken tiles that could come loose during high winds. It's also a good idea to clean your gutters, as they are essential in keeping water off your roof and can easily get clogged if not properly maintained, which can lead to bigger issues down the line. Don't forget about your garden. Ensure your garden furniture is secure or safely stored. Also, make sure fences, gates and hedges are secure and in good repair before the weather rolls in. Most storm damage cover usually excludes these parts of your property, so it's better to repair now rather than pay out of pocket to replace them later, says Dave. Be cautious with electronics. While the chances of lightning striking your home are small, it's still worth exercising caution, especially if you're in areas prone to thunderstorms. It may be worth unplugging or turning off any appliances for the duration of the storm and utilising any cordless items instead. This will also help to prevent any damage to home appliances from power surges, says Dave. That article was written by Jade Wright and read by me, Ian McKenna.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 16th of June. Council urged to act over racist banners. An article written by Emily Moore. A councillor has called for banners which have been branded racist to be removed from a Clydebank landmark. Jim Boland of Western Bartonshire Community Party will present a motion at the full council meeting this week, asking that the local authority take down all banners, posters, flags, flyers and photos at the bandstand. You pay, migrants stay, and migrants adored, pensioners ignored feature on the banners which appear most Wednesdays at the space next to the Clyde shopping centre. In a video posted on YouTube, a logo for Patriotic Alternative, a far-right group, is seen before photos of the banners at the bandstand are shown. Councillor Boland is asking the council to agree to remove any of these items from the authority-owned landmark that don't have prior written consent. He's claimed that the group congregating there are spreading a far-right neo-Nazi and white nationalist agenda in the town. Police Scotland has previously stated that it's visited the area on numerous occasions. However, no criminality has been established. Councillor Boland said, Patriotic Alternative is a racist organisation who is not welcome in Western Bartonshire. It was at the forefront of harassing and intimidating asylum seekers being housed in a hotel in Erskine by the government recently. People fleeing violence and possible death in their own country were being bullied and attacked by racist members of this organisation because they were non-white. They're now trying to spread their far-right neo-Nazi white nationalist agenda in Clydebank, and it needs to be confronted by the local council, organisations and the wider community. Patriotic Alternative also oppose LGBT rights, which is also divisive and abhorrent. We have a diverse community in Western Bartonshire, and we need to ensure that no individual or ethnic group is singled out because of the colour of their skin. The trade unions have been at the forefront of exposing the racist locally, and we all need to build on their action to drive the racist Patriotic Alternative out of Western Bartonshire. A statement previously supplied by Western Bartonshire Council says, without special permission, notices, posters or flags are not permitted to be affixed to the bandstand, and therefore the council can and will remove these. An article written by Emily Moore. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 16th of June. City reacts to the O2 ABC site plan, urging a rethink. An exclusive front-page article written by Donald Erskine. Plans for the O2 ABC site on Soggyhall Street have been called depressing, as locals and heritage organisations urge a rethink. It comes as the Glasgow School of Art has said that the Soggyhall Street plans put the rebuild of the A-listed Macintosh building at a significant risk. Locals and heritage organisations in the city have also mirrored calls for a rethink of the design for the mixed-use student accommodation and hospitality site. Stuart Robertson, the director of the Charles Rennie Macintosh Society, said, "It's also depressing. The Glasgow School of Art, MAC, has enough problems. Glasgow seems to have lost its way, lost its mojo. There is a lack of vision. Our built heritage deserves so much better. We would appeal to Glasgow City Council to refuse this planning application and request that the applicant resubmit a design that is sympathetic to an A-listed building of such world importance." Stuart's feelings have been mirrored by Neil Murphy, the director of Glasgow City Heritage Trust. He said, "The result of these plans is a generic building which could be anywhere. As a matter of urgency, the architect should look again at Glasgow's great classical tradition of commercial buildings, as they need to learn from them. They're building in the most fantastic setting next to buildings by two Glaswegians who were absolute masters of architecture. A first-rate architect would rise to that challenge, but are we getting that here? I don't envy the councillors on the Planning Applications Committee their jobs in considering this application next week. However, I would ask that they remember the debate the committee had over the previous student housing proposal for the ABC site, which they refused in 2017. It was the best example I've experienced of local democracy in action. The committee weighed the matter, and such was the sensitivity of the site, they decided to refuse a smaller-scaled proposal than the one currently being considered. I hope this application receives the same degree of scrutiny. The Garnet Hill Neighbourhood Watch, representing local residents, has specific concerns regarding the proposed developments. Chairman Bill Beckett said that while they were very keen to see the site developed, they believe that it needs to be done in the right way. He added that their overall stance is a resounding no to the current plans. Bill also said that residents expressed a strong desire for social housing to be prioritised, noting that there is a crisis going on in homeless social care and social housing. Many residents would prefer to see an independent music venue put back in place for entertainment, aiming to bring back the old days. Dominic D'Angelo, chair of the Alexander Greek Thompson Society, said, "It's concerning because the proposal appears to completely override the objections, both on light levels and the two A-listed buildings beside it. It'll be significantly larger than everything around it. We should not be selling the past in a desperate attempt to get more student accommodation into the city. There's an agreed need, but it shouldn't come at the cost of and be detrimental to the cityscape that we all live and work in. The fact that the site is derelict should not be a factor that allows them to build whatever they want. The current proposal will not add value to the street and to the area like they claim." Neil agreed that an approval for this site would set a dangerous precedent. It risks sending out a message that Glasgow is happy to let its heritage be walked all over for the sake of commercial gain. Stewart added the proposal is clearly contrary to development plan policy and supplementary guidance. In its current form, it can't be justified except as a departure from the said established policy and guidance. I can't understand how this proposed redevelopment meets any of the criteria. If successful, the proposed Vita development, featuring their House of Social brand, will bring around £70 million of investment to Sauchiehall Street. Over 8 floors, including a basement, the House of Social would include student accommodation, as well as a food hall, a public courtyard, a bar, a gym, and more. The student accommodation would feature 356 bed spaces, comprising 306, 4, 5 and 6 bedroom houses, with a shared kitchen and lounge and 50 studio spaces. It would also feature a fitness centre, social and study spaces, cafe-style lounges and cycle storage. An exclusive front-page article written by Donald Erskine. Glasgow Times on Monday the 16th of June. Lifestyle. Asda announces major changes to 180 cafes in UK supermarkets. An article written by Molly Court. Asda has announced that some major changes are on the way for more than half of its cafes, which will be revamped as part of a £10 million investment programme. The money will go towards modernising 180 of its cafes and expanding the menus. The project, led by catering firm Compass, which manages the sites, will begin this month and is expected to be completed by the end of October. Asda said that the upgrades will give a new look and feel, including new features such as digital ordering screens and a table ordering service, as well as having a manned till. Plus, an expanded menu will see new dishes being introduced, including smashed avocado on toast, katsu chicken curry, topped salad bowls, wraps, and a new sharing range that includes nachos and loaded fries. Pizzas, which are currently served fresh at counters in stores, will also become part of the cafe menu. Asda's decision to launch the upgrade programme comes at a time when rival supermarkets have been cutting back their in-store cafes and counters. Sainsbury's in-store cafes have shut for good since it announced 61 closures at the start of the year. The UK's second largest supermarket chain said that the majority of its shoppers do not use them regularly, whereas in-store food stalls and concessions have grown in popularity. Meanwhile, Morrison's is closing 52 of its cafes and a raft of meat, fish and hot food counters, changes which it said were necessary to renew and reinvigorate the chain and invest in areas that customers really value. It also said that it was costing more to run the services than it was making from customer spending. Asda, however, has 205 cafes in total and has no plans for any closures. It's recently promised its biggest price cuts for 25 years under returning boss Alan Layton in a bid to revive the languishing chain. Ian McEvans, Vice President of Commercial Food at Asda, said it's continued to demonstrate our commitment to our cafes over the years, such as with its Kids Eat for £1 meal deal. He added that cafes were an important part of the shopping experience for all our customers. An article written by Molly Court. Glasgow Times on Monday the 16th of June. Lifestyle. Glasgow travellers advised not to travel to Israel. An article written by Ben Waddell. Glasgow travellers are being told not to travel to Israel amid the ongoing conflict with Iran. The Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office updated travel advice on Sunday the 15th of June to advise against all travel to Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories. Foreign Secretary David Lammy has said that the safety of British nationals remains our top priority. Israel and Iran, both in the Middle East, continued to exchange fire overnight after Sir Keir Starmer said that the UK was sending more RAF jets to the region amid the increasing hostilities. The Foreign Office website warns that travel insurance could be invalidated if people travel against the advice and describes the current status as a fast-moving situation that poses significant risks. Earlier on Sunday, Chancellor of the Exchequer Rachel Reeves said that sending more jets to the region does not mean that the UK is at war. Additional refuelling aircraft have been deployed from UK bases and more fast Typhoon jets will be sent over, it's understood. The Chancellor also indicated that the UK could potentially support Israel, but declined to comment on what might happen in the future. Asked whether the announcement from the Prime Minister means that the UK is at war, Ms Reeves told Sky News, "No, it does not mean that we are at war. And we have not been involved in these strikes or this conflict, but we do have important assets in the region, and it's right that we send jets to protect them, and that's what we've done. It's a precautionary move." Oil prices surged on Friday after Israel's initial strikes against Iran's nuclear program, sparking fears of increasing prices in the UK. The Chancellor told the BBC that there is no complacency from the Treasury on the issue and that we're obviously monitoring this very closely as a government. Sir Keir Starmer has declined to rule out the possibility of intervening in the conflict, and the Chancellor indicated on Sunday that the UK could potentially support Israel in the future. Britain last announced that it had deployed fighter jets in the region last year, when the government said that British aircraft had played a part in efforts to prevent further escalation. Asked whether the UK would come to Israel's aid if asked, the Chancellor told Sunday Morning with Trevor Phillips, "We have in the past supported Israel when there have been missiles coming in. I'm not going to comment on what might happen in the future, but so far we haven't been involved, and we're sending in assets to both protect ourselves and also to potentially support our allies." Pushed again on whether the UK would deploy assets in support of Israel if asked, she said, "What we've done in the past is to help protect Israel from incoming strikes, so a defensive activity." She added, "I'm not going to rule anything out at this stage. It's a fast-moving situation and a very volatile situation." In a statement on X, the UK's Foreign Office said, "The Foreign Office advises against all travel to Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories. British nationals should continue to follow the advice of local authorities." An article written by Ben Waddell. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 16th of June. A man is arrested in connection with the Monaghan and Lyons shooting. An article written by Nicole Mitchell. A man has been arrested in connection with the shooting of Ross Monaghan and Eddie Lyons Jr. in Spain. The two men were gunned down at Monaghan's bar in Fuengirola in the Costa del Sol at around 11:30 at night on Saturday the 31st of May. According to tourists who witnessed the incident, they'd been watching the Champions League final with friends before they were targeted. A spokesperson for Merseyside Police confirmed that a man was arrested on Friday the 13th of June in connection with the shooting. The 44-year-old from Merseyside appeared at Westminster Magistrates Court on Saturday morning to start extradition proceedings to Spain. It's understood that the man was taken into custody under an international arrest warrant issued by the Spanish authorities. He's been remanded in custody to appear in court at a later date. The Glasgow Times previously reported that Spanish television aired CCTV footage which showed 43-year-old Monaghan with blood seeping through his white t-shirt from a chest wound, propping himself up on a table before collapsing. It came seconds after Mr. Lyons Jr., who was 46, was shot outside the premises. The arrest comes after a Police Scotland spokesperson previously said that there was no intelligence to suggest that the shootings were linked to recent targeted attacks in the east and west of Scotland, which are being investigated under Operation Portledge. So far, 44 people have been arrested in connection with the incidents. Police added that there is also nothing to suggest that the shooting in Fuengirola was planned from within Scotland. A spokesperson previously said the investigation into the fatal shootings in Fuengirola is being carried out by Spanish police. Police Scotland is supporting the Spanish police where requested. However, at this time we have no officers deployed within Spain. There is currently no intelligence to suggest that the deaths of these two men in Spain are linked to the recent criminal attacks in Scotland being investigated as part of Operation Portledge. Any misinformation or speculation linking the events in Spain is not helpful to the ongoing investigations in either country. There's also nothing to suggest that the shooting in Fuengirola was planned from within Scotland. Mr. Monaghan was acquitted of the murder of Kevin Gerbil Carroll in 2010 after the judge at his 2012 trial ruled that there was insufficient evidence. Mr. Carroll was an enforcer for the rival Daniels family. Eddie Lyons Jr. was previously shot in 2006 in an incident that was believed to be part of a gang feud. Mr. Monaghan was shot in the back after dropping his child off at a primary school in Glasgow in 2017. He's understood to have moved to Spain shortly after. An article written by Nicole Mitchell. Glasgow Times on Monday the 16th of June. Opinion. Prisons need more routes to drug use recovery before it's too late. A column written by Mike Daly. Last week I examined the Scottish Parliament's Criminal Justice Committee inquiry into drugs use in prisons. I was critical of the oral evidence from the Scottish Drugs Forum, suggesting that we should make drug consumption easier in prison, with the possibility of supplying free needles and vapes. To me, this gave a strong signal of giving up on people in the Scottish prison estate. I was contacted by Rod Anderson, Chief Executive Officer of Recovery Coaching Scotland, or RCS, who wanted to highlight good initiatives taking place in Scottish prisons, as well as good practice from England. Rod made the point that it's easy to believe that nobody gets well in a prison setting, but many people do despite the challenges. RCS is a lived experience-led organisation supporting individuals affected by substance use, poor mental health and involvement in the justice system. It works across several Scottish prison service establishments, including His Majesty's prisons in Glenaochel, Shotts, Perth, Addiewell, Stirling and the community custody units in Dundee and Glasgow. On average, RCS engaged with around 200 people in custody each year, delivering an evidence-based self-coaching programme and recovery-focused peer support. Beyond the prison estate, RCS is deeply rooted in its home region through the recovery community Borders in Recovery. The approach is to embed lived experience recovery coaches alongside statutory partners in community justice teams, supporting individuals subject to community-based sentences. This partnership model has proven effective in building trust, reducing relapse and reoffending, and supporting people to move forward with purpose. RCS also works hard with people to integrate them into the wider recovery community and has recovery cafes across the borders. The peer-led model in England is highly developed in custodial settings, much of which has been led by third sector organisations like the London St Giles Trust, who's been developing peer models in prisons since 2006. Rod used to work for them and believes that Scotland is behind when it comes to peer-led recovery work. England faces similar challenges to Scotland on drug use in prisons, and the House of Commons Justice Committee has undertaken its own inquiry into tackling drugs in prisons earlier this year. Dame Carol Black, independent advisor to the government on drugs, told the committee on the 25th of February, "When I wrote my review, about 13% of other prisoners who had no drug problems when they went into prison developed them in prison. I believe that figure has now jumped from 13% to about 24%. These are people who go into prison with no drug problem but acquire one." Charlie Taylor, His Majesty's Chief Inspector of Prisons in England, said, "My biggest concern with drugs at the moment is the ingress of drones, which is a paradigm shift. In the past, you could only get into a prison what you could throw over the wall or what you could get through the gate in some shape or form, which limited the amount of drugs that could get in. Some English prisons have drug-free wings." Natalie McKee, the governor at His Majesty's Prison Hindley in Greater Manchester, told the Commons Committee how the use of recovery units within prisons can be life-changing and life-saving for prisoners. Peer mentoring based on that concept of getting involved is giving back and supporting other people through their recovery journey. A column written by Mike Daly. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 16th of June. The Coast Guard issues an update as a person overboard search is suspended. An article written by Amy Miles. A major search operation that was launched in the Firth of Clyde following reports of a person overboard has been suspended. Emergency services were called to the area between Dunoon and Gourock on Sunday afternoon after a person reportedly fell from a Western Ferries vessel. 5 Coast Guard rescue teams from Largs, Kames, Helensburgh, Greenock and Dunoon were deployed, alongside a search and rescue helicopter. RNLI lifeboats from Helensburgh and Largs also joined the search, and nearby vessels were asked to assist. The Glasgow Times reported that Calmac confirmed that its vessel, the Alley Cat, also supported the rescue effort. In response to the incident, Western Ferries suspended services at approximately 1:45 p.m, and Calmac cancelled sailings between Gourock and Dunoon, while the Alley Cat assisted emergency services. In a statement, His Majesty's Coast Guard confirmed that the search has now been suspended. A spokesperson said, "His Majesty's Coast Guard responded to reports of a person overboard between the Hunters Quay and Gourock area on Sunday the 15th of July. A Coast Guard search and rescue helicopter was tasked to conduct a search, alongside Coast Guard rescue teams and RNLI lifeboats from Helensburgh and Largs. Nearby vessels were also called to assist. Police Scotland and the Scottish Ambulance Service were also in attendance. The search has now been suspended." An article written by Amy Miles. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 16th of June. Sex crimes continue to rise on the Scottish railway network. An exclusive article written by Morgan Carmichael. Women and girls can no longer use public transport in Scotland without fear of sexual harassment or assault, it's been claimed. Rape Crisis Scotland, which provides a national rape crisis helpline and email support for anyone affected by sexual violence, has hit out after data released by the Sexual Abuse Compensation Advice revealed that the number of reported sex crimes at Scottish railway stations is higher than it was years ago. Having obtained the figures via Freedom of Information requests, the Sexual Abuse Compensation Advice revealed that in 2022, the British Transport Police logged 60 sex crimes at Scottish stations, before the number rose to 95 in 2023. There was a slight drop in 2024, with a total of 87 crimes reported. Despite the small decrease, there has still been a 45% increase over the last few years. The data also revealed that since 2022, there have been nearly 250 reported sex crimes at railway stations across Scotland. However, a large number of women do not report their experiences, as many feel scared or believe that their report won't be taken seriously. Sandy Brindley, the Chief Executive of Rape Crisis Scotland, said, Whether these figures reflect an increase in the number of sexual offences being reported, an increase in the volume of offences, or both, women and girls should be able to use public transport in Scotland without fear of sexual harassment or assault. That is currently not the reality. Ms Brindley went on to say that the statistics also questioned where else these crimes are taking place, especially given the public nature of somewhere like a railway station. She added, while this absolutely raises questions about what can be done to make our public transport network safer, we should be thinking about these figures more widely. If it's happening on public transport, it's happening elsewhere too. So the real question is, what can we do to tackle an alarming rise in sexual and misogynistic abuse? The British Transport Police assured that one of their key priorities is tackling violence against women and girls, and said that they're campaigning for more people to come forward to report sexual offences. A spokesman for the British Transport Police said, "Tackling violence against women and girls is a key priority at British Transport Police, and there is zero tolerance for it on the railway network. We know that these crimes commonly go underreported, which is why we relentlessly campaign to encourage witnesses and victims to report these offences to us. With this, we expect the number of reports to continue to rise. We view this increase as a positive sign that our efforts are paying off and that women and girls are feeling more confident to report all forms of sexual harassment and violence on the rail network to us." One of British Transport Police's campaigns was put into force during Taylor Swift's run of shows in Edinburgh, when officers handed out friendship bracelets, popular in the Swift fandom, to passengers. The bracelets had the digits 61016 on them, which is the contact number to text service officers to report non-emergency crimes. In a bid to tackle the shocking rise, British Transport Police went on to explain that they have patrols of uniformed and specially trained, plain-clothed officers across the railway, day and night, to both catch offenders and to reassure passengers. There are also over 150,000 cameras across the railway network, which can provide the British Transport Police with clear, high-quality images. If you experience or witness sexual harassment or a sexual offence on the railway, you're urged to report it to British Transport Police by texting 61016 or by calling 0800 40 50 40. In an emergency, always dial 999. An exclusive article written by Morgan Carmichael.
From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 17th of June 2025. From the news section. Glasgow drugs trial to use genetics to personalise treatments. And this article was written by Anne Fotheringham. A Glasgow man who suffered a heart attack has become one of the first patients to take part in a groundbreaking new drug trial led by city academics. Eric Ballish from Pollock Shields has been enrolled into the Phoenix study, which aims to show how a simple genetic test could help doctors reduce harmful side effects and end a trial and error approach to treatments. The 63-year-old, who recently retired from the banking industry, was asked to take part in the trial by consultants at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital in Glasgow. After his heart attack, Eric was immediately prescribed clopidogrel, one of the 60 drugs included in the study, but has since had his medication changed a number of times. He said, "I knew a bit about personalised medicine previously, so when I was asked to take part in the Phoenix study, I was happy to do it. If you're asked to participate and support long-term research like this, then it's no great hardship to give something back and just do the right thing. I am hopeful my information can be of use to the trial and in the future." The Phoenix study, one of the largest trials of its kind in the world, will recruit up to 4,000 patients over the next 2 years in the NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde area. Researchers hope the trial will lead to wider implementation of genetic testing and prescribing across Scotland, making precision medicine a routine part of healthcare. led by Sandosh Padmanabhan Pontecorvo, Chair of Pharmacogenomics at the University of Glasgow. The Phoenix study will take place at the QEUH in partnership with the University of Glasgow's Living Laboratory, the NHS GGC, hosted West of Scotland Innovation Hub, and industry partners MyDNA and Agena Bioscience. Recruitment for the trial began this spring and focuses on patients who are newly prescribed one or more of the 60 widely used medications in the NHS. Participants undergo a simple genetic test to analyse their DNA, and the results, returned within days, will help doctors to determine whether each patient is receiving the most suitable drug and dosage based on their genetic makeup. Around 15% of patients are expected to carry genetic variants that may reduce the effectiveness of a medication or increase the risk of side effects. Without prior genetic testing, these issues can go unnoticed, often leading to a trial and error approach to treatment. Dr. Katrina Brooksbank, Research and Innovation Lead for NHS GGC and the West of Scotland Innovation Hub, said, "We are incredibly excited to be supporting this trial, which could have a major impact on the treatments patients are prescribed based on their own genetics. It will put precision medicine into action as researchers look to determine how a person's own genetic makeup can affect the drugs they are given as treatments. This could allow clinicians to reduce adverse reactions and side effects, ensuring the best possible outcomes for patients." Alan Sheffield, co-founder of MyDNA, said, "For MyDNA, the Phoenix study embodies the future of healthcare. This trial will demonstrate the profound impact of precision medicine, paving the way for a future where this approach routinely drives better patient outcomes." And that article was written by Anne Fotheringham. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 17th of June 2025, from the news section. Kim Woodburn sadly dies, 83, after battle with illness. And this article was written by Amy Miles. TV personality Kim Woodburn has sadly passed away at 83 after a battle with illness. It has been announced that the television star, famed for the hit Channel 4 series How Clean Is Your House, died yesterday. A representative for Kim shared a statement, "It is with immense sadness that we let you know our beloved Kim Woodburn passed away yesterday following a short illness. Kim was an incredibly kind, caring, charismatic and strong person. Her husband Peter is heartbroken at the loss of his soulmate. We are so proud of the amazing things Kim achieved in her life and career. We kindly ask that Kim's husband and close friends are given the time and privacy they need to grieve. We will not be releasing any further details." And that article was by Amy Miles. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 17th of June 2025, from the news section. Rutherglen full-time dad hits £122,000 jackpot at Glasgow Casino. And this article was written by Amy Miles. A Rutherglen dad has hit the jackpot, winning an astonishing £122,000 at a Glasgow casino. James Taylor Gray turned a £1 bonus chip into a life-changing sum while playing blackjack at Grosvenor Casino, Glasgow Riverboat. He landed the jackpot after both he and the dealer revealed an ace and a king of hearts, a rare combination that triggered the top prize. Initially, James believed he had won just £500, the standard payout awarded to other players at the table. He said, "At first I thought I'd won £500, which was what everyone else got because I hit the jackpot. Everyone was cheering and I couldn't understand why. The person next to me told me I'd actually won the jackpot and the rest is a blur. I was in complete shock. I can't really remember what I said apart from, "You're kidding." The full-time dad plans to use the windfall to support his growing family, with his wife expecting their second child in July. He also hopes to book a family holiday and invest a large portion of the winnings for the future. Mark McCluskey, General Manager at the Grosvenor Casino Glasgow Riverboat, said, "What a win. The atmosphere was electric, with the entire casino cheering and celebrating. We are absolutely thrilled for James and congratulate him on both his winnings and the upcoming addition to his family. Blackjack, the game in which James won big, is a casino favourite that blends strategy and chance. Players aim to beat the dealer by getting a hand value as close to 21 as possible without exceeding it." And that article was by Amy Miles. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 17th of June 2025. From the Lifestyle section. 10 pictures that tell story of Glasgow School and its Hollywood links. And this article was written by Anne Fotheringham. It can count bona fide Hollywood stars among its alumni, and it has even had a movie moment itself. Lourdes Secondary featured in the 2010 film Neds, directed and written by former pupil Peter Mullen. The Braveheart, Trainspotting and Harry Potter actor has said in the past that lessons learned at the school helped him to become the man he is. Mullen, who wrote The Magdalene Sisters, said in an interview with the Herald in 2018, "I'm not Catholic now and I'm not particularly religious now. Having said that, there was a value system that even as a young kid I always appreciated." The star, who was in Glasgow to receive an honorary degree of Doctor of Drama from the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, added, "I like the idea of the collective, and more than anything, I like the idea that it is better to give than receive. That always struck me as a good philosophy because it was just and it seemed fair. I'll always appreciate having learned that from school." The school was established in 1956 with the main building designed by Thomas Smith Cordiner. An extension was added in the 1970s. Pupils from Lourdes have often featured in the Glasgow Times over the decades. In 2023, they scooped the top prize in a competition aimed at tackling marine litter in the River Clyde. The pupils won the Best Investigation Prize in the STEM, the Flowing Engineer Challenge. Teacher Gary Marshall was delighted with the students. He said, "They put in so much hard work and have shown ingenuity and passion." In 2004, pupils from Lourdes Secondary School in Cardonald set up their own film company in a project to develop their business skills. Louisa McKenna, 16, Paul Hogan, 17, Paul Brooks, 16, Lauren Breeden, 15 and Alex Craig, 16 are pictured celebrated the initiative. Lourdes secondary pupil Mark Gettigan hit the headlines when he helped uncover 3 long-lost medieval gravestones during a community archaeology dig in Glasgow. The then 14-year-old, volunteering along with his mother, Sandra, was helping the Stones and Bones dig at Govan Old Parish Church. Professor Stephen Driscoll, the University of Glasgow's Professor of Historical Archaeology and part of the Govan Heritage Trust, said Mark's find was the most exciting discovery we have had at Govan in the last 20 years. It's not just Lourdes secondary pupils who have made the news over the years. In 2009, dinner ladies from Lourdes Secondary School had a special night out at the King's Theatre in Glasgow watching Dinner Ladies. Pictured are Sandra Whiteside, Helen Black, Linda Hughes, Anne Docherty and Janet Watt. Bluebell star Robert Hodgins attended Lourdes Secondary, as did former Motherwell and Celtic striker Tommy Coyne. Tommy, who was raised in Govan, also played for Clydebank, Dundee United and Dundee, and he was top goal scorer of the Scottish Premier Division 3 times. The striker played international football for the Republic of Ireland, qualifying due to his Irish ancestry. Another famous ex-pupil is David O'Hara, is best known for playing Stephen, the Irishman who joins forces with William Wallace, played by Mel Gibson, in the 1995 movie Braveheart. He is also an accomplished Shakespearean actor, having performed in a variety of productions with the Royal Shakespeare Company. Born in Pollock, the son of a retired labourer, his mother sadly died when he was a child. A YOP scheme at Glasgow Arts Centre led him to the Central School of Speech and Drama in London, and roles in Bill Forsyth's Comfort and Joy and the BBC's The Monocled Mutineer followed. In an interview with their sister newspaper, The Herald, in 1992, he said acting did everything for me. And this article was written by Anne Fotheringham, read by me, Caroline. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 17th of June, 2025, from the Lifestyle section. Fleetwood Mac Tribute Act coming to Glasgow this summer, and this article was written by Morgan Carmichael. The star of a globally renowned tribute act has revealed one of his favourite places to perform in Glasgow. The Royal Concert Hall is great for us, we love it there, Alan Cosgrove, drummer for Rumours of Fleetwood Mac, said. He added, Glasgow always supports us, it's so great performing in the city. Lucky for Alan and the rest of the group, which consists of James Harrison, lead guitars, vocals, Sophie Worsley, keyboards, lead vocals, Jess Harwood, lead vocals, Etienne Girard, bass guitar, Henry Reuben Burnett, keyboard and lead vocals, and Scott Poley, guitars. Rumours of Fleetwood Mac will be performing at the City Centre venue on Monday, June the 23rd. But it is not just the venue that has Liverpool's Alan buzzing for the Glasgow show. He explained, Glaswegian and Scousers are the same people. We're very similar and won't take any mess from anyone. We're salt of the earth and give you our last buck. Glasgow and Liverpool have similar spirits. The show will cover a vast range of Fleetwood Mac's discography, including their primary blues sound, Christine McVie pop tunes, and Stevie Nicks rock and roll hits, and will deliver a pretty immaculate replication of Fleetwood Mac's sound, according to Alan. He said, It sounds a bit sterile, but it was important for me that Rumours of Fleetwood Mac played the songs note for note. We tip our hat to Fleetwood Mac's style and dress accordingly. We understand the task at hand and that the music we're playing is precious to people. He continued, This isn't about us coming out in wigs and stick-on ponytails and playing what we think it should sound like. The legacy is already there. We're the conjurers and we've got to have a great understanding and love of it, but it's their music. The standing ovations are for their songs. I knew that we had to capture the sound and the imagination of a Fleetwood Mac fan, otherwise I wouldn't do it because I love that band. Alan's love for the Go Your Own Way hitmakers started in the 1970s when his older brother brought home a Fleetwood Mac record. That album was like listening to something from another planet, Alan said. He continued, The album started playing and I thought, wow, what's this? That was when I fell in love with Fleetwood Mac and I became a fan. I started following their career then. Audiences can expect a video from Mick Fleetwood, Fleetwood Mac's original drummer and founder, at the start of the show, wishing attendees a good night. It comes after Mick struck up a great relationship with both Alan and the group after he came to watch Rumours of Fleetwood Mac perform with his mum, Bridget Maureen Brereton Fleetwood. It all started years ago when Bridget rocked up to the group's Salisbury show. Alan detailed, Before we went on stage that night, our tour manager said there was a lady in the stage door who wanted to speak to me. She came to the dressing room and said, "Hi darling, I'm Bridget Fleetwood, Michael's mum." She said, "I've come to check you out." She watched it and afterwards said, "Darling, that was a jolly good go at Fleetwood Mac. I must bring Mick to see this." And I said, "No, you don't need to do that." Every year she came to see us, and about 5 years after that first meeting, I would call her and say we would go pick her up and bring her to the theatre. But one year she said that there was no need because he's just putting his shirt on. I said, "Who's putting his shirt on?" And she said, "Mick." He was over for a book signing and came by the show. That night he played drums in the show and I played maracas behind him. It was mental. It's been a hell of a road so far. The tribute act is now performing all over the world. For more information or to purchase concert tickets, visit rumorsoffleetwoodmac.com. That's www.rumorsoffleetwoodmac.com. And that article was written by Morgan Carmichael. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 17th of June 2025, from the lifestyle section. YouTuber gets kicked out of Glasgow's worst rated takeaway. And this article is unattributed. A YouTuber who set out to uncover Glasgow's worst rated dish ended up getting kicked out of one of the city's most infamous takeaways. Constantin, known as Con, boasts nearly 1.4 million subscribers on YouTube and has previously collaborated with stars such as KSI and the Sidemen. Earlier this month, the social media influencer posted a video titled, "I tried Glasgow's worst rated takeaways," which has already racked up nearly 70,000 views. In the video, Con and a friend set out to visit some of Glasgow's most poorly reviewed takeaways, aiming to try the dishes that received the most criticism online. The duo's food tour included well-known city centre favourites like Blue Lagoon and Chunky Chicken. At Blue Lagoon's Central Station branch, they sampled chips and a new sausage eclair, which they described as mid. The famous Scottish delicacy, the deep-fried Mars bar, also failed to impress. However, most of their complaints revolved around pricing rather than quality. Con even admitted he was surprised when the food wasn't nearly as bad as the negative reviews had suggested. He said, "I thought there'd be more foods that were gross or disappointing, but everything's just been bang average." Later, they tried a poorly rated Chinese takeaway while sitting at a Govan bus stop, only to find themselves pleasantly surprised by the quality. But things took a dramatic turn at the final stop, the now infamous Best Kebab in Glasgow's city centre. When they first arrived around 4 p.m, the shop appeared to be closed. Upon returning later that evening, they were met with hostility. According to Con, the owner stared them down and an altercation ensued. The YouTubers quickly left the scene, awarding the takeaway a harsh 0 stars, not because of the food, but because they weren't able to order any. Con said in the video, "Well, we couldn't actually review it because Bossman told us to pee off." He was like, "F you." So off we go. Best Kebab gets a 0 out of 5. Despite the rough encounter, the pair gave a shout out to the locals, who they said seemed passionate about protecting their neighbourhood. Con added, "I'll tell you what though, shout out to the locals there, they're trying to protect their community. I had one guy punch me in the shoulder." And that article was unattributed.
This is from the Glasgow Times on the 18th of June 2025, from the news section. and the headline reads, Glasgow roads affected by this weekend's orange walks. This article was by a Glasgow Times reporter. Glasgow is set to see significant disruption this Sunday, June 22nd, as nearly 1,000 people are set to march on an orange walk throughout the city. Processions will begin in the north, east, south and west of Glasgow and converge for the main march, which is scheduled to start at 1:55 p.m. from Holland Street, Blytheswood Hill. The main procession will involve an estimated 900 participants, according to organisers. A total of 55 roads will be impacted during the marches. Disruption is expected along the following streets: Millerbank Street, Keppikill Road, Pinkston Road, Baird Street, Lister Street, Kennedy Street, Baith Street, Rosevale Street, Dumbarton Road, Argyle Street, Suckyhall Street, Radnor Street, Limburn Street, Kelvinhaw Street, Quarry Knowe Street, Westmoor Street, Parkhead Cross, Duke Street, Gateside Street, Glen Park Street, Brand Street, Laurn Street, Paisley Road West, Paisley Road, Kingston Street, St Vincent Street, Pitt Street, West George Street, Holland Street, West Regent Street, Blytheswood Square North, Blytheswood Square South, Blytheswood Square East, Nelson Mandela Place, George Square North, George Street, High Street, Castle Street, Cathedral Street, Cathedral Square, Bath Street, Fleming Street, Sunnylaw Street, Balmore Road, Saracen Street, Postle Road, Garscube Road, Cowcaddens Road, North Hanover Street, Kyle Street, Cooper Street, Clyde Place, Commerce Street, King George V Bridge and Hope Street. The day before will also see several orange marches taking place, as well as around 2,000 people participating in a separate march for World Refugee Day in the city centre. The Glasgow Times previously reported that the event, organised by Stand Up to Racism, will feature live music, public speeches and demonstrations of solidarity. Participants are set to gather at Barrowlands Park at 1 p.m, with banners and placards. The largest of the orange walks on Saturday will see 300 from the County Grand Lodge of Glasgow Youth Section march from Townhead to Glasgow Green via George Square, High Street and Saltmarket. The Orange Walk is scheduled to start an hour and 45 minutes before the World Refugee Day march. This article was by a Glasgow Times reporter. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 18th of June 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, Kilbarchan residents hit out at company managing quarry. This article was by Aidan MacDonald. A company managing a disused quarry has been accused of turning a Renfrewshire village into an industrial estate. Frustrated Kilbarchan residents and councillors claim Dean's Developments Kilbarchan Limited has left the surrounding area in an unsafe state while carrying out infill work at the site. Councillor Gillian Graham says she has received constant complaints about the site over the past 2 years. Residents who live on Branscroft, which is situated across from the site, listed issues such as noise pollution, damage to the surrounding roads, and debris/mud, making the roads unsafe. A liaison group was established in 2023, which included Renfrewshire Council's Planning Department, Dean's Developments, Kilbarchan Community Council, and ward councillors. However, locals claim there have been no significant improvements despite the consultation. A spokesperson for Kilbarchan Community Council said, "We raised concerns about the mud and debris at Branscroft with the quarry operators. Issues being the fact that this is making the road surface unsafe and the operators' failure to comply with planning conditions and Scottish Environment Protection Agency (SEPA) licences. To date, this matter has not been resolved. In line with the planning consent, it is incumbent upon Dean's Developments to ensure the public road is kept clean and clear. There are also SEPA pollution prevention permits applying to the Kilbarchan quarry conditions, which state, "Wheel clearing shall be installed, used and maintained at the site to the extent necessary to prevent fouling of the public highway." However, other ward councillors have also raised concerns about whether these procedures are being followed. Councillor Emma Rodden said, "For years, the residents of Kilbarchan have aired their concerns about the quarry and its current operating model. These issues have not been addressed in any significant way, and it's high time their legitimate concerns were resolved once and for all." Councillor Andy Doig commented, "It's clear that the residents in the Branscroft area of Kilbarchan have simply had enough. It is time for Deans to listen to local concerns and for SEPA to make them stay within the terms of their licence." Councillor Chris Gilmore added, "The village of Kilbarchan is frankly fed up with the continued issue of dust and dirt carried onto village roads from vehicles leaving the quarry. I realise that they have a job in filling the quarry. However, a better solution must be found in order that the roads leading to the quarry are kept in a much cleaner condition." A spokesperson for Deans Developments Kilbarchan said, "We take our responsibility to the Kilbarchan community very seriously, and we have demonstrated the strength of this commitment through our regular attendance at community liaison meetings, where we have been available to engage with residents, local council, the local authority planning department and the roads department. The Dean's team has also hosted site visits to further explain and demonstrate the steps we've taken and continue to take with regards to this project. In terms of work being undertaken, Deans are to carry out the required infilling of the quarry, with the necessary vehicle movements associated with this being agreed with the council. Conditions associated with this work can be challenging, particularly when considered in conjunction with the inclement Scottish weather. However, a number of important practices have been implemented to mitigate these factors. These include a wheel bath, a wheel wash and a road brush. Deans has also invested in concrete and tarmacadam access roads to further mitigate against difficult conditions. The company has also dedicated additional resources to maintaining the cleanliness of the highway for those vehicles leaving the site via the designated road route that further minimises the impact on the village. The company remains committed to working with the community and responding to their concerns. For Deans, the safe and considerate completion of our work continues to be of paramount importance." This article was by Aidan MacDonald. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 18th of June 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, "Ofgem urgent heating warning has 113,000 Scots at risk." This article is by Amy Miles. An urgent warning has been issued as thousands of Scots could be without heating and hot water by the end of the month. The alarm has been raised by Ofgem, which revealed that 113,535 Scottish homes are still using outdated radio teleswitching system (RTS) meters, a technology that has been in use since the 1980s to control heating schedules via long-wave radio signals. Originally due to be retired in March, the RTS signal shutdown was delayed to give households more time to upgrade. However, the new deadline of June 30th is now fast approaching, and many households will still have not taken action. Ofgem has warned that households still using RTS meters could lose control of their heating and hot water, which may be left permanently on or off after the signal is phased out. Heating and hot water may be continually left on or off, Ofgem cautioned, according to the Herald. But there won't be a mass switch off on June 30th. The signal will be phased out gradually in stages. Energy UK, which represents the country's energy suppliers, has issued clear guidance to customers. They have advised that they should book a smart meter replacement appointment as soon as possible. While some appointments may be scheduled beyond the June 30th deadline, the system will still be phased out in small groups. An Energy UK spokesman said, "There will not be a mass switch off of the RTS national signal on June 3rd. From this date, we will begin a phase out of the RTS functionality for small groups of meters at a time. Customers should still continue to book replacement appointments as soon as possible and should not worry if the appointment they have been given is for after June 30th. All affected customers will be contacted in advance, but as we expect appointments to be booked up very quickly, the advice still remains for customers to contact their supplier to book a replacement at their earliest convenience. The organisation also confirmed that all affected customers should be contacted in advance, but encouraged people to proactively reach out to their energy supplier due to high demand for appointments. Most Scottish homes use standard meters and will not be impacted, regardless of whether they switch to smart meters. However, for those still dependent on RTS meters, urgent action is needed. RTS meters were introduced in the 1980s to switch between peak and off-peak energy usage. The numbers were expected to decline as smart meters became more widespread, but over 100,000 Scottish homes still rely on the technology. This article was by Amy Miles. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 18th of June 2025 from the news section, and the headline reads, 3 more arrests amid violent incidents in Glasgow. This article is by a Glasgow Times reporter. 3 more arrests have been made as part of an investigation into the ongoing gang war in Glasgow in the east of Scotland. Detectives have been investigating a number of violent incidents across both the west and east of the country. The ongoing operation, known as Operation Portaledge, has now led to the arrest of 47 men in total. On Monday, June 16th, 2 men, aged 26 and 20, were arrested and charged in connection with the alleged attempted murder of a 54-year-old man in Edinburgh on Thursday, May 22nd. They were scheduled to appear at Edinburgh Sheriff Court on Tuesday, June 17th. In another incident, a 26-year-old man was arrested in connection with alleged outstanding warrants after police officers attended a property on Muirhouse Drive in Edinburgh on Sunday, June 15th. He was subsequently charged in connection with an alleged deliberate fire at premises on Albert Street, Edinburgh, which occurred on Thursday, March 6th. He was due to appear at Edinburgh Sheriff Court on Monday, June 16th. Detective Chief Superintendent Dave Ferry commented, "Further to these arrests, we have also recovered a vehicle and a firearm, both of which are believed to have been used in recent incidents. This activity highlights our continued commitment to tackling organised crime, and we are following a number of positive lines of inquiry. We still require further support from local communities as our investigation progresses. If you know anything that could assist our ongoing investigation, please do the right thing and speak to us." Police Scotland is urging anyone with information related to these incidents to contact them via the 101 telephone number, quoting incident number 0562 of Friday, March 21st, 2025. Alternatively, information can be provided anonymously by contacting Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. This article was by a Glasgow Times reporter.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Q and Review and to tell your friends about our service.